Hi everyone, Miloš here again. Hope you're doing great. Today, I want to talk to you about warehouse orders and warehouse tasks. In SAP EWM, very often people don't know the exact difference between a warehouse order and a warehouse task. Well, this is very important in order to organize your work and understand how the work is assigned to the warehouse operators to perform logistics activities in your warehouse. Let's have a look together at a brief explanation of what's an EWM warehouse order and what's an EWM warehouse task. So, SAP EWM order versus task, let's have a look. Now, first things first, I always like to remind ourselves we're not IT people, we're really consultants. We need to advise a real business, real people doing real work, not just computer work. And therefore, it's also very important always to keep a reference of who are we helping, who are we working for. This is Tom, an imaginary Tom. He's a warehouse operator. He needs to perform activities and he needs to move. In this case, it's moving just one pallet. And I want to use Tom in this picture as a reference. Of course, Tom is an imaginary name, okay? I'm not sure who is the person and what's their name. I'm just giving Tom to connect better with the person. They have a lot of pallets to move. In this case, they need to move a specific pallet from one place to another. So how do they do that in EWM? Are they gonna work on a warehouse order? Are they gonna work on a warehouse task? What actually they're gonna see in EWM and how they're gonna work? Let's have a look. The definition. What's a warehouse order? A warehouse order is a package of work to be given to a warehouse operator. And specifically, the operator will be using a resource. So technically, and this is the first difference, it's very important to know that the operator itself usually has an SAP user. So the SAP user is one-to-one connected to an operator. But an operator can use a forklift, can use a transpallet, can use another equipment to perform activities. That equipment that is allowing the operator to complete tasks, it's called a resource. So in this case, the forklift is the resource. And the warehouse order then is the package of work to be given to a warehouse operator and his resource. The warehouse order has one or more warehouse tasks that must be completed together by the same operator. So the key concept here is that the warehouse order is really a package of work to be given to a warehouse operator to complete together. So it's not a single activity. A warehouse order is a group of activities, a group of warehouse tasks that must be completed together. If you want to imagine it, I always do the picking example. If I need to pick for a specific delivery and I need to send the goods to a specific customer, it could be that I want to pick them together so that I can pack them together, have everything together before I label, prepare, and ship the goods out. So it does make sense that during the picking itself, in certain situations, I want to pick all the goods together. If they're all in the same area, I likely want to just walk around the area and pick product A, product B, product C, everything that goes together for that delivery. If the goods are in two very separate areas, maybe although I'm picking for the same customer, I actually want two different people, one to go and pick ABC that is in this area, and the other operator to go and pick XYZ materials that are in the other area. So the key point here is that the warehouse order is not a single activity to be done by the warehouse operator, like a single pick, but it's rather a group of activities, a group of tasks that must be completed together by the same warehouse operator. On the other hand, the warehouse task is the single warehouse activity that must be completed, like, for example, the product put away, the pick, or an internal movement. So this is the single activity that must be completed, but it doesn't mean that it will be done on its own. It really depends how the warehouse tasks and warehouse orders are created in the system. It could be that I have one task and only assigned to one warehouse order, so one warehouse order, one warehouse task. but it also could be that I have multiple warehouse tasks assigned to a single warehouse order. Let's have a look at a few examples together. For example, if we're picking a delivery, that's the example I was mentioning earlier, it could be that for delivery 43, I create one warehouse order, the warehouse order 1, and I have two tasks in warehouse order 1. I have the warehouse task 1 to pick material A, 10 pieces, and I have warehouse task 2 to pick material B, 8 pieces. So that means that these two picks will happen together, and that means that I can pack them also together while I'm picking them, or at least put them on the same pick HU, put them on the same pallet, or put them in the same box as I'm picking. You see the drill. It means that I'm already grouping together the products that I want to stay together, and in this case to be shipped together since it's a picking. All right. Another example is I have warehouse order 1 for put away. So the warehouse order itself will be a put away warehouse order, and there's only one task. In this case, it's put away of the HU 354. So in this case, the single task to put away a specific HU handling unit, where the handling unit is a container of goods, so it can have one or more materials inside. But in this case, I'm moving a handling unit, and it's a single task, a single move, a put away that is within the single warehouse order. In this case as well, the warehouse order is a put away warehouse order. And last but not least, we can also have one warehouse order for put away. And in this case, if I don't have a handling unit, if I'm not managing handling units, maybe I'm moving directly the material. So on the warehouse task, I will have put away of material A, 25 pieces, and that's the single activity that needs to be done within the same warehouse order, the warehouse order for put away. Okay, so let's have a look at Tom, and let's see what Tom is doing and just visualize and represent the EWM information that we talked about in real life, real scenario. So where are the different components physically? Well, first and foremost, Tom is a user, so he should have his own SAP user. So an SAP user is connected directly one-to-one to a physical person. In this case, it's our guy, Tom. Next, on the right, you see that I basically identified the pallet as a handling unit. So in this case, I'm thinking that maybe that pallet will be represented by one handling unit, and there will be materials inside. Now here, it really depends on how you configure the system. You don't have to have handling units, so you could run your processes and activities without handling units. They're not mandatory. But oftentimes, if you're doing pallet management, it does make sense to uniquely identify a pallet with a handling unit number so that you can just scan that pallet and move it left, right, whatever is the content of the pallet. You could also have nested handling units, which would mean that within the pallet handling unit, you have other smaller handling units, and those smaller handling units have material inside. In this case, I'm assuming it's one level handling unit for the pallet, and there's material inside. And what is Tom doing now? Well, if Tom needs to execute some activities, first of all, Tom should be logging in the RF framework if he's going to execute it in RF. And in RF framework, he will have an EWM resource. So the forklift in this case is represented in EWM by a resource that is able to perform tasks, execute activities. And as he's starting the activity in RF, there's different ways to do this. Actually, I want to talk about it in one of the next videos. But one way or another, Tom user is logging into the RF resource forklift and is starting to execute a specific warehouse order. And in this case, let's assume this is a one move of the handling unit. So there's a single task, move the handling unit from a specific bin to another bin. So from a source bin to a destination bin. And this warehouse order is assigned to Tom's resource. Okay. These are all the key components in EWM and how the physical world of the warehouse is connected in EWM with EWM objects. And the most important information here that I want to convey is that one warehouse order can contain multiple tasks, and one warehouse order is always assigned to a resource. So you never assign a single task to the resource. You always assign the work package, the warehouse order, to a resource that needs to execute it. Hope all clear. Hope you liked the video, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next one, where I'm going to actually get into the system and show you in EWM the warehouse orders, the warehouse tasks, and much more details about both of these objects. See you soon.